Welcome to ChristiTutionalist Politics Podcast, aka CTP, in association with TheLibertyBeacon.com, and I am your host, Joseph M. Leonard, and that's Leonard. CTP is your no muss, no fuss, just me, you, and an occasional guest type podcast. I really appreciate you tuning in. As Graham Norton would say, let's get on with the show. Welcome to the show, everyone. Trent Brock. And as my audience knows, you don't know Trent. We're just meeting each other for the first time today. I can't resist lame puns. So I am now, for the rest of the day, going to have a brain worm. You know the Bob Seger song, Like a Rock? It was in the old Chevy truck commercials, like a rock. I think you need to commission someone to do a song parody for you, like a Brock.
I love
huh?
it. I love it, man.
Huh?
Yeah, you should be my marketing agent. Golly, I've got a position open as well.
And as we joked before, although cancer is no laughing matter, we got to keep a sense of humor. For my audience, as I told you, you win. I only had cancer once. You've had it 3 times. You're the winner. You get the trophy. And then last, go
There's
ahead.
a few more categories as well. I probably win too.
Yeah, well, we will be discussing overcoming adversity today. That's why you're here. But the third kind of lame pun, bad humor, can't pass on jokes is before hitting record. I was joking. You asked me how things were going, and I said, busier than a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest, as the saying goes. And your response was?
That kind of fits the scene because I almost had my leg amputated, and it's shorter than the other.
Again, not really a laughing matter, but, you know, if we don't laugh, we'll cry ourselves to death, right?
Well, I think the last stage of being able to accept something like that is if you can make a joke about it and laugh about it, you're over it, right?
Oh,
that's in the rear view, man.
I'm so glad you mentioned that because I have a couple of shows that I discuss. It's ChristiTutionalist Politics. I usually don't go into politics with my guests unless if they bring it up, a rabbit hole presents itself. But in my normal Saturday monologue politics releases, I have discussed a couple times that getting someone to come to grips with a political wrong, you know, something they just don't know the facts, don't have the evidence on, is like mourning. The old Rick Springfield has an album, The Stages of Grief, shock, denial, anger, acceptance. And indeed, if you can reach acceptance through laughing about a situation, that is great. That is a bonus because you uplift others also through that. And again, why you're here to discuss overcoming adversity. Well, we've rambled for like 4 minutes now, completely off topic. So let's get to who you are, though. First and foremost, who are you? We know you're Trent Brock, and like I said, like a Brock. Anyway, who are you? Where are you? What is your life about?
Oh, let me give you a quick and dirty here. Well, my name is Trent Brock. I'm originally from North Louisiana, Shreveport, Louisiana. And when I graduated from college, I moved to the big city of Dallas. And I was an IT software expert consultant, traveled all over the country. installing large IT systems. Then I started doing that internationally and ended up on the bottom end of the world in the small, beautiful, awesome country of New Zealand. Was doing IT work there, was in the boxing gym, randomly met some American guys that had traveled down there to prepare for some matches. Their manager was a serial entrepreneur, and he did craft market outdoor kettle corn in his home state of Washington. Well, through some training and talking and everything, we figured out they didn't have kettle corn in New Zealand, and who doesn't love kettle corn?
Me, actually, but I'm weird, so don't judge it on me.
Well, that's obvious.
Right. Yeah. Hey, if we're not willing to poke fun at ourselves, we shouldn't poke fun at others. Yeah. Please proceed. Kettle corn in New Zealand.
Right. So we started a kettle corn business on the weekends. I was doing IT during the week, popcorn on the weekends. This thing blew up. We were just going out to the local fairs, the local markets. Then we started getting contracts like with the rugby stadium and event companies and et cetera, et cetera. Fast forward 14 years, we became the number 2 popcorn manufacturer in the country, supply to all the supermarkets internationally, like Singapore, Malaysia, the Middle East, et cetera. 2 factories, one of them is about the size of a football field inside. Massive deal, right? And everything was great, on top of what I like to call popcorn heaven. I spent a lot of time as a small business owner in my factory, and that was my place, popcorn heaven. Well, in the spring of 2019, I start limping around the factory, go to several doctors, and they kept telling me the same thing. You got a torn butt muscle. Finally went into the hospital to have some blood work done, totally unrelated. And the doctor said, you need to get an x-ray for this. Whatever. Okay. Well, okay, sure. Well, I'm glad we did, because she actually saved my life. She called me a week later on my way to lunch, leaving popcorn heaven, and said, it was one of those calls that if you've gotten one of those, it knocks you over, and it's the call that changes your life. And that was, I had extensive hip bone cancer with a 1/4 inch of bone holding my leg on. Any and every step I took, I was in danger of breaking the leg. If I broke the leg, it was going to come off. Couldn't believe I haven't broken the leg already. Get into the hospital right now. That was my entry into the cancer journey. It's public health care in New Zealand. So, with anything with the government, it's free, but
yeah, right.
Service is average normally, and it's slow. So the process would be, we're gonna do some tests and scans and x-rays. We're gonna prepare an implant, then we'll go in and put the implant in. Well, every time they were getting ready to do that, the cancer progressed, the implant wouldn't fit. Third time, well, we're gonna cut your leg off. I lost it. My parents were on the phone. Luckily, I got into the point where I would have them on the calls, most of my important calls. And my dad stepped in and just said, you're not cutting this guy's leg off. He's a fighter. He's not a quitter. He will make this work. You don't know this guy. Give him a chance. And so the doctor reluctantly came back and about a week later and said, we'll leave the leg. I won't guarantee function. I won't guarantee feeling. It's going to be shorter than the other. He's going to be handicapped for the rest of his life. He'll never walk again. If you want me to leave the leg, I will, but his quality of life will be better without it. My dad said, we don't care. Leave it. You can cut off later. So they left it.
Exactly. You can only do it once. You can't put it back. You could put an artificial, but once you go that far, you've gone that far. Yeah. Now, before we get back to the seriousness, you mentioned popcorn heaven. I like movies, so I like regular theater popcorn. So I spent a lot of time at my local MJR on free popcorn Tuesdays. Oh. But that's an aside. And anyway, here I'm talking now about movies and theater popcorn while you're in the middle of, I almost lost my leg.
Well, I'll tell you, this is kind of like a bad movie with an okay ending, right? So there you go.
Yeah, and you mentioned NOLA, New Orleans. Do you know Gista the rapper?
I don't know. Maybe. I'm not sure.
He's originally from New Orleans,
Okay.
and I did a show with him. So
Okay.
maybe sometime you could check out ChristiTutionalist Politics and
Yeah.
find the Gista discussion I had with him about New Orleans, and you can
Okay.
have some nostalgia for New Orleans through my discussion with Gista the rapper. At any rate, that's a verbal crutch I use. I kind of say it tongue in cheek now, jokingly poking fun at my verbal crutch. But back to the leg, literal crutch. Did you have to use crutches for a while and whatnot?
Yes. So the leg, the cancer removal surgery was successful, but the leg was infected.
The
So
third
several,
time it was
well, well,
successful.
well, I had about 6 or 7 surgeries to get rid of the infection. Never happened. Okay. And we did, IV antibiotics, et cetera, et cetera. Finally, after about 4 months, I was good enough. They let me out of the hospital. So I was on
Wow.
crutches. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's
my
a
mom,
long stay.
oh man, I got even more time in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I was in for my APL leukemia,
Okay.
Carmanos Cancer Center in Detroit, I was in for a month for treatment.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're going stir crazy at about a month because there's like 3, 4 channels on the TV. You're stuck in that bed. What are you going to do? Although, these days with smartphones and did you have a laptop or anything with you to help pass
Absolutely.
time?
Absolutely. So this is public health care, right? So in that setting, there's 4 people in a room. Your privacy is pull the curtain. You hear everything about everybody. They know everything, about all the tests run, about everything you talk about. There's no privacy. You can't get any sleep. And they
Right.
ran out of budget. There's no TVs.
Yeah, free. There's no such thing as free. Corners have to be cut, and people pay for it somehow, some way, otherwise. No
Sure.
such thing as free. And like you said, but yet some people want to bring forced, like warehousing healthcare to the America. And I don't get that. And again, not to go down the political
Sure.
road
I
with
know.
you,
Yeah.
but uh Nazi Germany was the one that kind of invented socialized medicine, and it wasn't about healthcare. It's about power and control over the
Right.
people.
There you
But
go.
at any rate, again, this show is often about politics.
Sure.
I've discussed it before, so just put that out there. Please, so 4 in a room, everybody knows everybody's business. Go on.
Sure. So just to give people an idea, this is what they did. So this is where they removed. You can see this is the normal hip side.
Okay, now
They removed
for
all of the hip there, and
for
that's the wire. That's a little
oh,
wire they put in to keep the leg from going up. Okay.
okay, for purposes of the transcript, because this is mainly an audio only show,
Right.
Trent showed a picture. If you want to see the picture to see what all was done, and he's holding up an actual cast of a hip
Yep.
bone. Now, if you want to see that, go to BitChute, Brighteon, Rumble, YouTube, at JLenardDetroit video channel to see the behind the scenes sneak peek video. You'll be able to see that. Please continue.
Sure. So, mom and dad went home. I got out of the hospital. Mom and dad went home, and I just continued on with my life, trying to get back to normal. Working the whole time. I never stopped working since I owned the company. Right. Had meetings. People would come into the hospital with me. Have meetings and suppliers, whatever. Next scan I get, I have pancreatic and lung cancer. Okay. So the pancreatic is obviously the more serious of the two, and that's a less than 5% chance survival. So in between the diagnosis and the surgery, COVID hit, and they locked us down in New Zealand, right? So no one can come in or come out. Well, you could leave but not come back. You couldn't go anywhere. We were locked in our homes. So, you know, the next several surgeries I had were alone in the hospital. So I had the pancreas.
So there was one silver lining to the Wuhan hysteria there. You actually got some private care. Right? And it was the opposite of Hotel California by the Eagles, where they saying you could check out but you can never leave. In your case, if you'd have left, bye-bye, can't come back, good luck, sayonara.
That's right. Yeah, so you know, my family couldn't come, or you know, no support from that angle. Had the pancreas surgery, right? Successful. But when we went on the debrief, they kind of tried to spin it on me and said, well, congratulations, you don't have cancer. And I'm like, well, what happened? They removed half of my pancreas and spleen for a mistaken diagnosis of a blood clot instead of a tumor. Okay.
Oh boy.
No consequences. It's public. They don't care. They don't care. Okay. So, okay, let's just take the positive out of this. You're alive. You beat it. But obviously, there's going to be some health concerns and issues, you know, ongoing because you don't have some of the stuff that you were born with. Okay.
Yeah.
Next surgery, lung, you know, do the lung surgery. That was successful, but that got infected. And the orthopedic doctor had found out, this was about a year from when I had the initial hip surgery for the cancer. The orthopedic said, hey, look, you know, we need to go in and take that wire out. I had been avoiding them. I didn't want to go back. I wasn't going to do anything else. I had been avoiding them, but I was in the hospital all alone under, you know, the influence of narcotics and pain medication and blah, 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 and everything else. And he came in and said, we're going to take out that wire. It's causing the infection. Okay. Well, I thought he was going to do the surgery. A junior surgeon did the surgery and botched it up terribly. Okay. So it
oh my God.
Yeah. So it goes on.
You know what? You are a walking, talking testament, in my opinion, again, to get political. I'm blatantly going to go there. Socialized medicine. What the hell is the matter with you people? Why the hell do you want that? Listen to what this man is saying.
Yeah. So caused, you know, nerve bladder issues where I think I need to go to the bathroom, and you can imagine trying to get up and down all night with this infected leg that's shorter than the other, etc. Right? Caused a surgical hernia. Now this is my hip. This is my hip area, my left hip.
Oh
so
my God!
They had cut me from all the way, like from, you know, here all the way to here. That's just the hip area, but no hip. That's my intestine. Okay. Hanging over.
Oh my God. Now for people, you can see the video. It's not ultra graphic, but to insert a transcript description, his hip literally looks like it was hit by a semi-truck and is indented permanently.
Yeah. It looks like somebody took a machete to me.
There you go. That's an even better metaphor analogy.
They were concerned that it was never going to heal up. They didn't think it was ever going to heal up. You know, by the grace of God and a miracle, it did. So with the wire removed, it caused this problem. So this is where the leg bone was originally. This is where it moved to, the top of it. So you can see that's where my leg bone normally would be. It's moved 4 inches up. Okay.
Oh my God.
This is the shoe I had to wear.
Oh my, you look like you're a member of KISS. The rock group, right? That's literally, that's like almost a 6-inch platform shoe. You look like you're Gene Simmons.
That's it.
Do you have the tongue? Will you bleed your tongue? You don't want to, it might get infected. Don't try that at home.
Yeah. So
I'm so glad you have a sense of humor.
I don't. Yeah. I mean, you know, I'm still here, man. I'm still here. That's all that matters, right?
Now I'm going to have the Elton John song, I'm still standing better than I ever did, in my head. So now I got two brainworm songs in my head because of you, which, not bad. There's worse songs than the Rebecca Black Friday annoying song. But now that I've said it, that'll be in my head. We need a Rick roll, right? You know what a Rick roll is, where you randomly insert what is that song? Never gonna give you up. Okay, enough of my bad
yeah,
sing.
right. Rick
Never.
Astley, I think it is.
Rick Astley, yeah, Rick roll.
How do I know that?
I do a Rebecca roll on
Okay.
social media. I take the Friday song and just randomly insert it in discussions, the video for her annoying Friday song with the hashtag Rebecca rolled. So, but at any rate, my bad, lame humor insertion. Again, I apologize. Again, you're a great guy. I would love to meet you in person. You've got a great sense of humor. And again, if we don't keep a sense of humor, we'll be curled up in the corner in the fetal position, sucking on our thumb, just waiting to die.
Yeah, that's it. So, a couple months in the hospital, I was expected to be a couple weeks. And the infection remained, got out, still just trying to get back to normal life, back to work, doing my thing. The next scan, you really do have pancreas cancer this time for sure.
Oh, God.
Okay. Right. So, I said, this time I want a biopsy. We need to prove it because last time you wouldn't allow it, you wouldn't approve it, you wouldn't do it. And, if we do remove the pancreas, that's creates a surgical diabetic and, issues with digestion. I didn't want to live like that. Can we just zap the thing? So it was this discussion over several months of trying to get the biopsy done and and everything. So
again, the shortcomings of socialized medicine. They just want to, dictate whatever. Just we think this, so we're just going to go ahead and remove it. No, prove to me it must be removed. What are the other options? Absolutely.
Exactly. When they found it on the scan, it was that big, the size of 2 nickels put together. Okay? In 4 months, it had grown to the size of a tennis ball.
Oh, boy.
I was losing weight. I couldn't eat. I was sick all the time. I looked like death. I could look in the mirror, and honestly, I'm like, you're dying. This is killing me.
You look like Skeletor.
Oh, man. I mean, just pale as a ghost. I mean, it was bad. And, still dealing with this infected leg and dragging this thing around. And the pain is just, almost unbearable, limited pain management resources, etc. And so I went to a private doctor. I'm like, my time's running out. I can't wait. If I wait around this, I'm just going to wait and die. So I went to a private doctor and he said, look, based on your scans, it's growing into your stomach and it's too risky for us to do anything. And I won't recommend anything for you. And I said, well, with sir, like with treatment for pancreatic cancer, with treatment, it's less than a 5% chance to survive. You're telling me go home with no treatment and maybe not? I'm like, you're telling me to go home and die, man. And he said, there's nothing I can do for you. So I went home and I started to spiral down. Right. I was like, maybe this is just it. I'm just, I'm tired. I'm starting to give up. I'm all alone. I mean, I don't have, insurance in the States. I'm going to this is what's going to happen. This eventually is just going to kill me. So after an appointment with the public health care doctor, and I was on the phone with my folks, and, I started to feel, they were strong. They've been strong the whole time, supportive, never bought into the negativity, everything. I could feel it. I could sense it. They were starting to give up. They were like, our son's going to die. There's nothing we can do. The hopelessness, the despair. And I said, you know what? I had a friend about a year before I had started this whole cancer thing, die of cancer, left his wife and kids. Okay. Then I had a buddy about 6 months before that, a good friend, He had a restaurant that we went to almost every day on the beach. Okay. Got sideways, went bankrupt, and went out in the woods and offed himself. And you know what? The sadness of watching these parents bury their child. And I'm like, I don't care about me anymore, but I got to do something. I'm going to try for my parents. I'm going to try this. I'm just not going to give up. I'm not giving up until it's over.
I've done several episodes. My book, Terror Strikes Coming Soon to a City Near You, has a suicide prevention sub-thread in it. I am a suicide attempt survivor myself. So this is near and dear to me. And I've done several shows. All life has meaning. You may not see it at any particular moment in time. And I am so glad that you came to that realization. Indeed, it's not selfishness, right? It's not just about us. It's about others. Like with my leukemia, I, like you, was resigned to my fate, was not going to seek treatment, and was planning to die, was going to make hospice arrangements. But my sister got on the phone with my ex-wife and kind of, you talk to him. So, yes, I agreed. And obviously, I'm still here. You're still here.
Good for you.
You don't know what tomorrow will bring until you carpe diem, right? Today may not be your day, next week, next month, next year, next decade. You don't know. And I indeed went from suicide attempt survivor and cancer survivor to #1 political thriller, Amazon bestseller. You don't know. And now you're here. Your story of overcoming adversity is meant as an inspiration story. Like in my Terror Strikes Coming Soon to a City Near You book, I've had the philosophy for years, and I have my character say it. Things could always be better, but they could often be worse. And I think even you recognize in your darkest days, things could have been worse, right? I don't fear death, but I do fear a painful, long, contracted, agonizing death.
Sure.
It could be worse.
Sure.
You didn't have
Absolutely.
tons of pain, right? You said you had issues eating, and obviously life was not enjoyable, but you weren't in a massive amount of pain, were you?
Oh, I was in immense pain, chronic, horribly terrible pain. I mean, it's just unbearable. Every step I took, anytime I rolled over in the bed, trying to get in and out of the car. I mean, anytime you moved that leg, it hurt because it was infected.
Yeah.
With an area about that big of infection and fluid.
You're holding up for the visual and the transcript and the audio only, a little bigger than a softball, smaller than a volleyball. Yeah. But even then, it's hard to imagine that it could be any worse, but it possibly could. And absolutely. Again, you overcame this adversity.
That's right. Yep. So, I realized my options in New Zealand are done. I've run out. And, I started brainstorming with my parents, and my dad said, a lot of the healthcare rules and guidelines have changed since you've lived here. I didn't think I could get insurance, right?
Obamacare, right?
Well, yeah, the Affordable Care Act, right? So I thought, I was done for with with pre-existing conditions. And practically, I just thought about it practically. I'm not going to come home, bankrupt all my friends and family, and die on them. Right? So do you want to be sad? Do you want to be sad and broke, or just sad? Well, I think it's better to just be sad. So, I'm going to croak in New Zealand and ship me home in a box. Okay. Right? Well, we kind of figured out that it was a possibility, and it's expensive, but it doesn't break the bank. It's affordable. It's not going to bankrupt you, right? There's a limit. There's a limit to how much you're going to have to spend, right? And so I came home, and I had been given a year to live. I have been told by all of my surgeons, from my pancreatic doctor to my lung doctor to my orthopedic, they all told me, you're done for. This is going to get you. You've had a good run. Enjoy the year you have left. Well, I couldn't go anywhere. It was COVID. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't do anything. I was like, well, I'd like to go travel or go on a cruise or whatever. Well, I said, well, I'm going to go home and spend time with my folks. And I thought, you know what? I'm on this new mission. I'm going to keep trying until my last breath. So I decided, you know what? I'm just going to go to the local clinic here in Northwest Arkansas where my folks live. I researched it. I could go anywhere in the country. Let's start here. They've got a good pocket of healthcare. The Waltons are here, Walmart's here, big companies are here, and they are building out, world-class healthcare here. Let's start here. Okay. So I went to the local clinic and, went to the radiologist, and he just said, look, we need to zap this thing pretty quick, or it's going to kill you. I said, well, what about all these concerns in New Zealand and all this and that? And very humbly, he said, we have pretty good machinery here. And I think we can get this thing. And if we don't, Trent, it's going to kill you.
Yeah. Again, that's the socialized medicine limitations.
There you
Rationing of care, cutting corners on costs. They can't and won't spend for the latest and greatest of wonderful modern medicine we have in America. But yet some people want to destroy that, and I don't get that. But anyway, please continue.
Well, just on that note, it's a business, right? It's absolutely a bit. I mean, it's a business privately, and it's a bit. But the thing with private, okay, and I don't want to get too far into this, but the thing with private is there's consequences, right? If you screw up, you can get sued, and no one wants to do that. Well, in the public thing, they make decisions based on finances with no consequences. So I know that, looking back, they were just going to wait me out. I was a statistic. I was nothing. They wouldn't spend any more time with me. They didn't want to spend any more money on me. When I would go in to see the doctor, they would give me the junior, like a guy that wasn't even a native English speaker, that could barely speak English, that would read the report all off the thing and just say, well, you've got pancreas cancer and they want to do surgery. You need to pick a date. I'm like, it's just, there's no service, there's no customization, there's no nothing. It's just like that. 100 people in the waiting room, you get 4 or 5 minutes. They're trying to rush you in and out as fast as they can. They don't care. I had to fight just to get in to see the head surgeon to get any decisions made, right? So anyways, I'm back here, and we went and decided to do radiation, and it was the size of a softball when they zapped it. Okay.
Wow.
Had to wait several months. Clear. We're clear. Okay. Did some immunotherapy after that to ensure we didn't have anything to spread metastatically, like it had done in New Zealand, which was a smart move. So that was good. And then I was like, well, I'm alive for my parents, but I want to walk for me. This is what I'm going to do for me. Okay. So I've got to get rid of this infection to do anything with this hip, and I had been told, you're never going to walk again. There's so much removed. There's nothing to put anything there. Nothing's ever been done. 99% of the people, they cut their leg off. There's no, they didn't recommend any physical therapy. There's nothing for me. I had to figure out there's no support. All this is on my own because I'm in a position where almost no one has this, right?
Yeah. And that's the other thing with socialized medicine. They don't have the research dollars. The wonders of miracle medicine in our country. Yes, it's expensive. Some drugs, very expensive. Research takes time, energy, money. I'm thinking in my mind now, as you're going through this, about infection. Well, we've made leaps and bounds in antibiotic, antiviral. Did that ultimately work, or was it something else that?
Absolutely. So, I was going to doctors, and I kept getting told, no, you've had this chronic infection. We have to do something about this, or, there's nothing to bolt anything to. found a doctor, again, here in Northwest Arkansas, in my network, okay? Found a guy, and he said, we're going to try these antibiotics. I did a 3-month course of IV antibiotics, 2 hours a day, every single day, made me sick like I've been going through chemo. I was just sick as a dog, terrible. I did an extra month longer than anyone else has ever done. You know, I was like right on the edge of all, you know, like the tolerability, right? But, but so, it worked. It worked, right? And so then it's like, okay, you know, I had the test run, I had the scans done, I had all that stuff done, and we're clear. So let's look for a doctor. Well, again, you know, I'm looking, can't find anybody. I have a checkup catch up with my, again, Northwest Arkansas orthopedic advisor. And he said, look, if you want to try to walk again, you know, you're really the only one that'll ever have done this. There's a guy at Mayo Clinic.
Hey, there's always a first, right? There's always a first.
Yeah.
Thank you for being a trailblazer.
You got it. That's right. That's right. You know, everybody remembers the first and the last. No one remembers the middle, right? So this guy had worked with him. And he specializes in hips and knees that no one else will try. This guy loves a challenge, you know, going on the edge, you know, all that kind of thing. And I had already been to Mayo, right? And Mayo told me no already. And I said, well, you know, and he said, well, you haven't talked to this guy. You have to see this guy. I'm giving you a personal referral. This is your guy. Okay. So we went to Mayo, and we started we're in the middle of a 3-part surgery. The first one we prepped everything and got it ready and fixed that huge hernia. So that looks normal again, and got it ready. And back in July, we put in the largest, most complex hip implant ever done in the world, with procedures that have never been attempted on anyone ever. And this is what a normal hip looks like. You can see that. This is what mine looks like.
Oh, you look like an erector set. I'm sorry to go to the lame humor again, but yeah, I mean, your midsection, that area, you look like you're, you know, Steve Austin, $6 million man comes to mind, right? You look like an erector set put you together.
That's it. That's it.
And again, for those listening on audio, again, you could go to BitChute, Brighteon, Rumble, YouTube, at JLenardDetroit. See the video. You want to see these images Trent Brock is sharing with us.
This right here, okay, this little weird looking thing is the multi-million-dollar piece that they put in to hold all those screws and bolts together. So I've got about eight screws in me, that some of them span all the way across my pelvis from one side to the other. And this little thing fits in here like this. I've got rods in my spine. And basically, you know, just quite simply, this is an ear and ninjing experiment on a human. That's all this is.
Yep. And again, like you said, somebody's got to be the first. Somebody was the first heart transplant. Somebody was the first pacemaker person. You were the first for this. And again, pardon the lame humor, but again, you've got such a great sense of humor. So they basically said, screw you. And you said, yeah, I use lots of screws.
Exactly, right? So this is the size shoe that I wear now. I didn't get all my length back because if they stretch everything too much, it can paralyze the nerves and everything. So I got a couple inches back, and I got functionality. I got balance and stability, and this leg is improving. I'm on, you know, I've been on 2 crutches. I've been on 2 crutches or a wheelchair for over 5 years. I am on 1 crutch now, and I'm close. I'll be on a cane soon, then I'll be on nothing. And if I want to, down the road, 3rd surgery optional, they go in, they cut the femur, Okay. And they do a bone lengthening thing that they do on people that maybe have been born, with uneven legs or a car crash or something like that. Right. So that's an option down the road. But either way, okay, I know that just with this little shoe that I'm wearing now, I'll be walking soon. I'm going to be walking.
That's great. And you probably should maintain a cane through the rest of your life just as a precautionary, side thing. There's liable at some point in time that you're now, as you get older, then obviously your sense of balance and everything then starts to go, especially with everything you've been through. So for your sake, I would highly recommend, you may not like the visual of having a cane the rest of your life, but you're on the right side of the lawn, as the saying goes, right?
Hey, man, canes are cool. Canes are cool, right? Crutches aren't so cool, right? Canes can go with an outfit. They can be an accessory, right?
Right. And it can make a handy weapon if you should need it for self-defense. Self-defense. I'm not talking about...
I'm indestructible, with all the metal I got, right?
Oh, that brings to mind another movie. Yeah. Invincible. Right?
There you go.
Did you see that movie with Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson with the guy? He's the one end of the spectrum with the brittle bone syndrome, and
right.
Bruce Willis plays the guy supposedly indestructible. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. And another aside, another rabbit hole. Of course, I have a bad tendency to do this with rabbit holes as they pop up.
Makes it fun.
Yes, I talked to Cy Young the other day.
Yeah.
This show is not scripted. I do minimal research, as I said, with Cy. I just want to know your basic story, what you're coming on for, overcoming adversity. I knew none of this. I didn't want to, not because I don't care about you, but because it provides a free-flowing conversation. You go with the flow. Where the rabbit holes open, you go down them.
Sure. When I had that talk with my parents, a couple of years ago, and I made that decision, right? I made a decision at that point to change a lot of things. And I started, the first couple of years I just kind of was moving along, and I just thought, well, this will be the last time I'm just going to get on with life. And it just kept coming up, right? And it's like, well, it's hit me in the head enough times. You need to make a change. So I started changing, the obvious things, right? Started, changing my diet, and I didn't do drastic things. I didn't go anything crazy. I just made sensible choices. I started exercising and making choices with my life like I was going to have a future. For example, exercising and working on this leg because I was planning on doing something, even though I had been told by everyone, you'll never walk again, right? And then, my mindset, I had to do a lot of work on my mindset. I'm a practical guy. I'm a facts guy. It's just, I'm a realist. Everyone's telling me this, this is over, etc. And I had to really work on that with, I'm in control of this. I'm the quarterback of this game.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, what you can have control of, right? Don't sweat the things you can't control. Focus on the things you can. And I've got a suggestion. You joked about me becoming your PR guy, your marketing guy. I've got a suggestion. Get with your former kettle corn buddies.
Yeah.
And in the future, I want to see the Trent Brock walkathon.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Bringing awareness.
Sure. I actually, I'm a volunteer with my local cancer organization called the Cancer Challenge. And we do a huge thing, and we have we have a week where we do golf and pickleball and all these tournaments and everything. And the last thing is they do a walk, right? They do a walk, and I do all my volunteering, and then on the last Saturday morning, I go do the walk. So I'm hoping this year I'm good enough to do the walk. I'm going to try a 1 miler without any crutches, but hey, if not,
it'll be a very slow walkathon, but
absolutely.
Hey, right? Amen. I really mean it when I say I will be praying on this. One day I want to know about, and I hope I could be a part of in some way after mentioning it, the Trent Brock Walkathon. That would be so wonderful. And I think we've gone pretty much through everything. I try not to do too long a show, so I do want to wrap it up. If people want to reach out to you, where do they get to you? Do you have a website? We found each other through podcast guest list, but do you have a website? Things like that. Are you considering writing a book? I have a book called How to Write a Book and Get It Published. Oh, I see you reaching for something. So, there it is. All right. Yay. Tell us about the book and then where to reach you.
Sure. I was invited to co-author in this book called Breaking the Silence, Voices of Survivors. I have a chapter in this book about how I overcame cancer, and there's other authors in the book that talk about, their situation and how they overcame things. The way you can get in touch with me is, I don't have a website up quite yet. I just sold my popcorn business about 2 months ago, and I'm moving into kind of my own thing with inspirational speaking and like patient advocate / cancer journey coaching. And so, you can get in touch with me, TrentBrock@yahoo.com. Very easy. Or I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and I'm doing the victory pose like this. That's my profile photo. It's easy. You see it, you'll see me, because you know what? I'm winning, man. We're winning, right? We're still here. We're still here to fight, and we're winning. So I would love to talk to anybody if I can help them in any way. My calling is to tell my story and help people, and that's what I'm out here trying to do. And so I appreciate you letting me be on your platform and reach people that I haven't yet,
Yeah. One of the things, I'm the author. I hold more than 36 copyrights, but I have 3 in June. ChristiTutionalist Politics 2, the book, will drop. We'll have 4 internationally available books. One of the irons I have in the fire is under the working title Living Hell. I might reach out to you for contribution to that fiction book. It'll be fictional, but I planned on putting cancer in some way, shape, or form in that book as part of the story of the person going through the living hell. And you sound like having contributed to a book already. I'd love to have you as a contributor to that book potentially.
I would be honored to work with you. It would be awesome. I would love to work on that project. And this is nothing but a snapshot. There is so much more to this story with, I had 2 pulmonary embolisms that could have killed me. I've had chronic infections that I could have died from. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. You wouldn't believe all the things that have come along with this thing. And you're right. I have been through living hell, and I know what it's like. And man, I just appreciate just being here.
Amen. Again, it's like It's a Wonderful Life movie. In My Terror Strikes, Coming Soon to a City Near You book, as part of the suicide prevention. But even your issue of health and better, like, you don't know. Clarence, right? Clarence shows George what life would be without him. You don't know what others' lives would be without you here. You provide value and meaning to others, as do all people. All lives matter and has value and meaning, a major sub-theme in the Terror Strikes book. I like to say it's, terrorism, but not about death. It's about life and living. And we provide value to others we may or may not recognize. Doesn't mean it isn't happening. So thank you, Trent Brock, for coming on. I greatly appreciate it. When the show drops in the future, I will, of course, reach out and send you all the show notes. Yeah. You've seen me during the show making notes of things I want to make sure I remember to put in the show notes, including I will reference the Breaking the Silence book. Okay. So people can check that out in the chapter you have in that. Please send me your home address so I can send you a free copy autographed of my How to Write a Book and Get It Published, Hints, Tips, and Techniques, so that in the future, perhaps indeed, we will be able to work together on that Living Hell book.
Sure. That sounds great. And you know what? I'll send you one of my books. You can
Great, I appreciate that.
Sounds awesome. Well, let's do a little book change and book exchange, right? Yeah. That sounds like a great idea. I love it.
Welcome to the Trent Joe Book Club.
There you go. There you go, man. You got it.
All right. Thanks again, Trent Brock. Take care. God bless.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Wait. Don't tune out yet. Hold on. Hold up. Hope you notice there's more time on the clock. We're ready to shoot some more threes here and run up the score. I have no idea why I did some silly, dumb sports analogy other than, yes, I've been enjoying Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever and certainly hope they make the playoffs. I'm not much of a basketball fan, so I otherwise wouldn't normally be watching the NBA, let alone the WNBA. But if you know at beforeitsnews.com, I wrote an article about WNBA. Well, Caitlin Clark actually put all women's sports, especially basketball, really on the map this time, or die due to DEI hate. But that's not what this second segment is about. I got myself way off on a side tangent, has nothing to do with anything. If you're looking at behind the scenes sneak peek at BitChute, Brighteon, Rumble, or YouTube, you could see me holding up a book titled Breaking the Silence, Voices of Survivors. Michelle Jewsbury is the attributed author, but it has chapters from other people that have put together items for this volume 1, it says up in the corner, book. Now, why I bring that up is because I talked with Trent Brock. Well, Trent Brock has something in this book, so I'm recording a second segment to mention it. And before I get to what Trent wrote, on the inside cover, it says curated by Michelle Jewsbury. So that's probably certainly the correct word. She didn't really author these pieces in here, although on the inside it does say author note. It's probably to be consistent, should have been the curator of this book's note. But at any rate, we'll joke with her when she comes on because, yes, Michelle Jewsbury has agreed to come on ChristiTutionalist Politics. Should be on probably in a few months. But the author note says some names, dates, and locations have been changed in these stories for the author's protection. Okay, so I just wanted to mention that. It's published through Amazon/KDP Select, Kindle Direct Publishing, KDP, copyright 2023, official copyright holder, Michelle Jewsbury Speaks, LLC. And of course, all rights reserved, no part of publication may be produced or blah, 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 blah. You know the disclaimer. Well, Michelle and Trent, whose item I'm going to read part of, have graciously given me permission to indeed be able to read a little from the book. A little more about the book itself, though. Let's give a shout out to editor Jim Martica, if I'm pronouncing that right, I hope. If not, I apologize. Cover design by Daniel E. So shout out to you too. Also, the first printing of this book, 2024, the table of contents. We're specifically going to jump to chapter 4. The ultimate underdog became the overachieving overcomer by Trent Brock, page 38. So, paging, scrolling. Actually, I had it bookmarked. If you see behind the scenes, you can see I'm lying to you on audio. I'm not scrolling. I have it bookmarked. So, chapter 4 from Breaking the Silence, volume 1 book from Trent Brock. The ultimate underdog became the overachieving overcomer. Now, obviously, I'm not going to read a whole lot of this. I just wanted to give a little tease from the start. Originally from North Louisiana, most people would consider me a Southern gentleman with a slight flair of redneck. I like how this guy is willing to be honest about himself and even take a little bit of a jab, because most would consider redneck a slur. But hey, it's just a kind of thing that happens, especially with farmers, right? The farmers tan, the sunburn on the lower arms and on the head and the neck. It's just a regional thing. It shouldn't be a slur, but a lot of people take it. At any rate, I got one sentence in and already went down another rabbit hole. Continuing from the book, I graduated from Louisiana Tech University with an MBA and an information technology emphasis in 2000. At any rate, I'm not going to question the editing. After graduating, because as you've seen, if you look at my articles, I talk about grammar Nazis. They're THEIR''YRE. There. So, right? I mean, we all have our regional dialects, the way we say things. After graduating, I traveled around the United States for 5 years as an IT consultant, installing and customizing large-scale software systems for big companies. I knew I liked this guy for a reason, because I'm a former IT guy too. I was an operations kind of guy, not necessarily a software, though yes, I did some coding and whatnot. Continuing from Trent Brock from the book. It was an insane gig and I needed a break, as I know too well. 24/7 in IT, often you're on call 7 days a week. It's what put me onto disability. Stress, anxiety, my body shut down. So, and you'll see why I'm going into this. Well, you've seen segment 1 and you know his battle with cancer 3 times. I myself didn't choose this hairdo. It is because I also had leukemia, blood cancer survivor from 2010. Continuing on, moving along. For those who recognize that from the movie Dave. And we're walking. Okay, enough of my stupid, lame humor, right? I moved to Spain to teach English, attempted to learn Spanish, which really was a bit of a disaster, and traveled around Europe during the holidays. The international travel bug had bitten me at an age of 29, so I went back into IT and ended up settling in New Zealand for over 15 years. I'm only going to read that first paragraph. I don't know that that's enough of a tease to get you to want to read that book, but hopefully after segment 1 of this episode, you've learned enough about Trent that you're really going to want to read Chapter 4, The Ultimate Underdog Became the Overachieving Overcomer by Trent Brock in the Breaking the Silence Voices of Survivors Volume 1 book, 21 Stories of Resilience and Transformation. I give this book definitely a thumbs up and indeed recommend it, not just for Trent's writing, but others also therein. And indeed, you go to the back, a little bit about the author, a standard kind of thing. Michelle writes an epilogue in the book since she didn't really write the whole book. She's, as it says, the curator of bringing together these important stories. I can't talk again. I'm still having an issue from having a tooth pulled the other day. But at any rate, so hopefully some CTP show people will indeed surf in over your way, buy the book. Indeed, I recommend it. At this point, I'm just going to drop off because the show was supposed to end, let me look at, like 12 minutes ago. This is a last minute segment tag on because thankfully Trent sent me a copy of the book so I could see the chapter that he wrote therein. And I wanted to tack this segment on to let you know that he's a part of that book and there's more information that you can seek out through that. Thank you all. Take care. God bless. Thank you for having tuned in for ChristiTutionalist Politics Show. If you haven't already, please check out my primary internationally available book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you. Available anywhere books are sold. If you have locally run bookstores still near you, they can order it for you, or autographed copies are available online direct from me via terrorstrikes.info/shop. Be sure to check out more about today's discussion at thelibertybeacon.com, where my articles drop every Saturday. And let me remind, over time, the fancy high production items will come. But for now, for starters, it's just you as a very appreciated listener by me. All substance, no fluff, no fancy high production intro or inserts, at least yet, just straight to key discussion points. A show that looks at a variety of topics, mostly politics, through a Christian U.S. constitutionalist lens. So again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Take care. God bless. Like and subscribe to ChristiTutionalist Politics Podcast and share episodes. We need your help to grow the show. Just wanted to give a brief shout out and thank you to all the folks on iHeartRadio and Player FM for being 2 in the top 3 platforms that my show, ChristiTutionalist Politics, is most often listened to. So thank you all. Take care. God bless.